There we go.
So we are
That sounded
delighted.
very official.
I know, right? So we are recording and we are delighted to welcome all of you here to join us today. My name is Amanda Thompson. I am with the Council on Culture and Arts, and we are this artist talk today featuring Quia Atkinson, and she is a spectacular local artist here in town. She has a right now in COCA's Art Port Gallery at the Tallahassee International Airport. It has been an absolute joy to work with you in the curation of that exhibition. And she's here to join us today to talk more about herself and her work and to answer questions from all of you. So Quia, do you want to maybe kick it off and just introduce yourself really briefly, and then I'll maybe do a really quick reminder about some Zoom etiquette before we get deep into the convo?
Okay. Yeah, so as you guys know, I am Quia Atkinson. I'm the owner of Quia Design Gallery, and I have been painting for a very long time, but really painting with purpose for about maybe 6 years now. And that's when I started my business about 6 years ago, and I specialize in mixed media abstract art with a focus on resin, glass, any kind of sparkly, embellishments. And I also do home decor. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm so excited. I'm overly excited about the current exhibit at Tallahassee International Airport. And I can't believe it's coming to an end on the 8th. It seems like it went by so fast.
It did,
but
right.
it went by so fast. But I'm thankful for every opportunity, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for being here too.
We are so excited to have you, and you're right. The show is on view at the Artport Gallery, which is at the airport, and it is there through November 8th. So if you haven't yet had an opportunity to see it, you are welcome to drive on out. Parking for the first 30 minutes is actually free. And so that gives you some time to take a look at all of Quia's extraordinary creations and sit with them for a little while, get up close and personal. So we'd highly encourage you to do that before the show comes down on November 8th. And of course, we also have the exhibition in our online gallery as well. So if for some reason you aren't able to make it out to the airport, you are more than welcome to take a spin through the digital gallery. And I'm going to put a link to that in the chat so that everyone can go ahead and click on that if you want, even while we're talking, if you'd like. And then that way everybody can see both the physical in-person exhibition as well as the online exhibition. So Quia, I'd like to just remind folks just once again that we're going to have everybody muted unless they have a burning question that you'd like to unmute yourself, you're welcome to. And then once you have maybe a question that is not super burning, you can throw it in the chat. And that will be a good opportunity for us to kind of keep tabs on what is on people's minds and how we can start to illuminate some of the questions that we are receiving that way. So muted, questions in the chat, unless it's super urgent, and then feel free to unmute yourself and ask Quia. So I'm going to dive in and ask Quia right away. Some of the things that I have been particularly interested in is your background. You have a really, really interesting background, and it informs quite a bit of your work and your approach to your work. So can you talk a little bit about your background, and maybe at the same time, I happen to have snagged a couple of pictures from Quia that I think would be really fun for us to look at while you talk. So let me see if I can share my screen, and we can have kind of a show and tell, as it were.
Okay, awesome.
So you go ahead and start talking, and I'll.
Okay, perfect. So I am a military brat. Okay. Both my parents are Marines. You can see my dad there in his uniform. And my dad was born in Brooklyn. My mom was born in Charleston, South Carolina. And they met in the military. And so because of that, we were nomads. Okay. I started off in Pennsylvania. I was born in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to South Carolina, back to Pennsylvania. We moved to Norway. We lived in Morocco, Africa. Um, we all over the East Coast, New York, South Carolina again. We had to, during Desert Storm, we had to evacuate Morocco and move back to the US and then go back to Africa. It was really, I wouldn't say tumultuous, because as a child, I loved it. I really loved that every year and a half we moved. There was really never a dull moment when it came to just life in the military. And so I think a lot of that has translated over into how I look at life, how I look at, raising kids, how I look at just creating my art. And that's my brother, my sister. I'm the oldest. Okay. And my brother's next, and then my sister's the youngest. And so, yeah, so my dad actually retired from the Marines about 1996, and we settled in Virginia. But before that, my sister had been diagnosed with brain cancer, and that's her right there. She's such a cutie pie. She had been diagnosed with brain cancer when she was 9. And so it was actually shortly after this. Actually, this is Africa right here. This is our front yard in Africa. After this, we moved to Pennsylvania, and she was diagnosed in Pennsylvania. And thank God she is alive and well. She has her first baby. She's married. She is like our miracle family member. But she went through a lot, and it really definitely shaped our family as a whole. This picture is me in boot camp. I was in the Army Reserves for a very tiny bit. Because we have such a military family, I was like, you know what? I want to join the military. I don't want to be the only one who's like, not military. So I actually decided to join boot camp the summer after my junior year in high school. So you're able to do a split option plan to where you could do boot camp one summer and then do your training school after your senior year. And so this was me right after junior year in high school. Hopefully I haven't changed that much.
You haven't. You're so youthful.
I'm hoping. That was a long time ago. But so I actually joined the Army Reserve for a little bit, and then I actually got a full ROTC scholarship to FAMU for the Army. So I never had to do my training after my senior year. I just went straight to FAMU from Virginia. I could have chosen any HBCU, but I'm like, I want to be as far away from home as possible. And so I chose Florida. And I have never regretted that decision. I've been here since 1998. And so people ask me where I'm from. I'm like, I'm from Tallahassee. I mean, I really am. This is the longest place I've ever lived, out of every city we've been to. And so Tallahassee's definitely my home. That's me in boot camp. Oh my goodness. And so it's definitely been a journey. I have to say there's been just so many amazing experiences just when it came to, when it comes to moving around and making new friends. It was really, really, I say it was probably difficult for all of us when we came back to the US, because, there's a culture when it comes to, American kids. And we honestly knew nothing about that. So we were just, we were definitely like the nerds. We were definitely like kind of the outcasts for a while, because, oh, you guys don't watch this show? You don't know what, that name brand is? You don't know what this is? We didn't know what anything was. Like, we were it looked like we were sheltered kids, but we were just not, American. We didn't grow up with the American culture because, we were moving everywhere. And so it was definitely a little bit difficult around middle school. That's when I came back to the United States. And but I think every experience that we went through as kids, that we went through as a family, that we went through with my sister, that's really where I kind of found my artistic abilities. That's specifically when I started drawing was, after my sister was diagnosed, and there was a lot of my parents not being home because they were at the hospital, with her doing chemo, radiation, all that stuff. She had to learn how to write again. She had to learn how to walk again because the tumor was on her brainstem. And so when they removed it, of course, messing with that area, it completely paralyzed her right side. And so, it took her years to kind of get back to whole again. She's not 100% even now, but she is cancer free and she has been for a long time. So, with all that going on, there was a lot of, my brother and me at the house by ourselves and just trying to find an outlet. And my outlet, it ended up being music. I play piano, not that well now, but I took piano lessons and I played classical piano. And so I play a lot of piano and I would do a lot of sketching and drawing. And so, I did all of that for a very long time. And then, as you get older and you join the workforce and join the real world and have kids and husbands and all that stuff, you forget about that. I didn't paint anymore. I didn't, use art as an outlet. And then, 6 years ago, I found that again. And so it's like all those years I'm not doing it, it just kind of like burst forth into Quia Design Gallery. And I was just off and running. So it really has been, it's been crazy. It's been spectacular. Some people know my journey and, me starting from just very meager beginnings. And I could not have imagined that at this point, the business would grow to what it is. And, the Tallahassee community has been so phenomenal because, Tallahassee it really is the best city because people want to, they want to promote you. They want to help you. They want to be a part of your experience. And that really is important to any artist, it really is, or to any person. And so that's really helped me to kind of, get my passion out there and to keep it going and to really feel appreciated within Tallahassee. And I'm truly thankful for that.
That's so great to hear, Quia. One of the questions that we got from Dan Taylor just now was exactly about what spurred you on 6 years ago to go for it, this idea of the painting with purpose, right? Do you want to sort of address that?
Yeah.
Has kind of become your mantra and your motto. Tell us a little bit about that.
So before 6 years ago, I had been married for 13 years. Okay. And during that time where I picked up my painting again, I was actually going through divorce. And so it was really a very that was a tumultuous time, and it was just a life-changing phase going on. And I needed something for myself. I really needed something to just kind of, keep myself sane and to, feel like I have a purpose. And, of course I always had a purpose, but, it was therapy for myself. And so within those months, I started painting again. And I was really just painting for myself, just to, make myself feel better and kind of just, get out my frustrations and get out my creativity. And then in the midst of that, I had someone buy a painting. And I really did not expect to sell this painting. He was like, well, how much do you want for it? And I told my friend, because it was a friend of a friend. And I was like, I don't know, like $400. I just threw a number out there and he was like, okay. And I'm like, oh, what? Oh, okay. So maybe there is something to, I actually have a talent for this. Like maybe this is actually something I should be doing. It was kind of just a sign and it came really at the moment that I needed it to come. And so from that moment on, I decided, well, if I'm going to be selling, I need to go ahead and create a business. And so oh my goodness, what am I going to name it? Because my nomadic upbringing. Okay. And my mom's on, her name's Gladys. Hey, mom.
Hi, Gladys.
She's probably like, why are you calling me out right now? But so with all of that, I already knew that I would be doing more than painting. So that's where the name QZ Design Gallery came in, because I feel like it pretty much encompassed everything that I would want to do, whether it be decor. I had no idea I'd be going into home decor, but I know myself, and I know that, you know, sometimes I really have ADD when it comes to creating. I'm all over the place. And so I kind of just had the foresight to do that. And so, you know, named it QZ Design Gallery. And then from then on, it's just kind of been an evolution of, you know, my creativity. I started off with, you know, actually just painting acrylic, and then it kind of evolved into kind of adding, you know, gold leaf to the canvas, and then adding resin and glass and making it 3D. And so it's really been an evolution of, you know, of thought when it comes to kind of what I want to put down on canvas.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, we've talked about your upbringing, we've talked about some of your inspirations, how you've kind of gotten to this place in your life. You just mentioned some of the materials and the tools that you use. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that, or we could have you narrate a video? I might also have
Oh,
some clips to share. If you want, I can sort of share a video and you can
yeah.
talk us through a little bit. Okay, let's
Okay.
see. Let's see if we can make something like that happen. Let's try this. And why don't you talk us through? Can you see that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna play it and I might mute it. Why don't I mute it so that we can have you talk it
Okay.
through. All right, let's
Okay,
see.
so this project right here was actually a commission for Tallahassee Woman Magazine offices. And Michelle Mitchum, who's the owner of the magazine, she picked the colors exactly. So we did color matching. She gave me a palette. And so she likes lots of bling, thank goodness, because so do I. And so she was like, I want these exact colors. And so this is the process of me starting it off. And her style was a fluid acrylic. And so I have all my paints pre-mixed, and I use water, and I also use Floetrol. And Floetrol just kind of helps your paint to be level. It also it helps to actually spread the paint while also at the same time keeping the paint quality and its color. And so I use Floetrol a lot with my colors to kind of, you know, just make them last a longer time. And so with this style, I am, as you can see, just blowing the paint. I'm trying to like get the pattern that I want. And so it really looks simple in the video. I have a lot of people say, oh my gosh, like that 3-minute video you made, you make it look so easy, but I tried it at home and I'm like, I cannot get it to look, you know, I'm obviously like cutting down because I'm probably blowing the paint around for a good maybe 40 or 45 minutes. And so, and I'm pouring, I'm blowing, I'm pouring, I'm blowing. So I'm trying to get, you know, the composition right on the canvas. I want it to look natural, but at the same time, I don't want it to look like it's too thrown together. And yeah, like I said, you know, 40 more minutes on the canvas, and, you know, I am using a lot of paint and trying to just achieve a certain look. And so after I achieve the look that I want, I let the fluid acrylic dry. And it usually takes, you know, if I have a fan on it, it can probably dry within like a day. If I just leave it, it might take 3 to 4 days, just depending on, you know, how thick the paint was, or how many layers of paint I had to use. So it's just different from canvas to canvas. And so after this layer of the fluid acrylic and it drying, then I go ahead and add my layers of embellishments. And as you can see with this, I added kind of a glitter shimmery paint to it first. And then I lay down my crushed glass. I adhere my crystals and my resin crystals to the canvas. And then to adhere everything together, I do a resin pour. And the resin is just epoxy resin. It's mixed in 2 equal parts. You have the resin and you have the hardener. You mix it together, and then you pour it on whatever project that you want. And depending on the resin that you choose, it is cured within 24 hours. And so I can pour today and it'll be hard to the touch the next morning. Some resins may take longer, but I use art resin, and it's a very expensive resin because It doesn't yellow. You can put it in front of a window. It can be exposed to UV rays, and the paint and the resin will not yellow. So it really has, it kind of gives the painting a long life, and it also protects the canvas as well. And so that right there is one of my main styles. It's probably one of my most popular styles that I get orders for, is the fluid acrylic with embellishments. And when I first started off with my art journey, I was, I do a little bit of everything. I paint, and I like to do a lot of shapes and patterns, but then I really got into the fluid acrylic because, people just kept ordering the fluid. Oh my gosh, like, I just love that style. And then I kind of wanted to make it my own. And so that's why I started adding the embellishments to the canvas, because it really kicks it up a notch. I mean, it's one thing to have the acrylic on there, but once you add just, all of the mixed media, it really looks phenomenal. And so, yeah, so I actually did 3 canvases for the magazine offices, and I just showed 2 because they were so big I couldn't fit them all in frame. So I just did a video of the 2, but that's definitely one of my favorite projects because I love pink. I wish I wish somebody would just ask for an all black painting with just a splash of pink. Pink is such a cheery color, as you can see I'm wearing pink, but it's a happy color. So so I was very excited for that commission.
So CW asked if to talk a little bit about how do you form a final vision? Your work is non-representational, it's relatively abstracted, it's sort of happening very organically. I mean, you have refined your own technique to a place where you have some control over what you're aiming for in terms of the composition and the pouring, but I have to expect that there's quite a bit of unexpected opportunities and maybe room for serendipity too. So CW is wondering, how do you form a final vision, or do you just work and the materials sort of take you into a particular place that you're helping to guide them?
Right. It's a mixture of both. So I definitely have a vision in my head of what I want the final canvas to look like. If a client gives me, let's say, colors of black, gold, and white, in my mind, I'm already thinking that, I want the composition to not be too busy with these 3 colors. And so, I might in my mind already have the upper right hand part of the canvas covered in black, maybe the bottom left in white, and then maybe the middle of it, all 3 colors combined, and then melding those together with embellishments. And so I do have I'm always creating the painting before I even touch the canvas or the materials. And I tell my clients that too, because, depending on what they want, I might give them 6 weeks out. Now, it doesn't take me 6 weeks to do that, but I'm painting it before I even start. And so that kind of helps me to kind of perfect their project, and to also, once I get into the studio and I start, actually doing this, I'm not lost. I already have it in my mind, because in my mind, I already did this painting. Now I'm just like actually making it a reality. So it definitely is a bit of both. Now, it doesn't always come out how I envision, that it rarely happens that way unless I'm actually hand painting something. Then it can come out exactly how I envision. But when you're dealing with fluid acrylic, obviously the pattern's not going to come out in your head how you wanted it, which is a lot of trial and error with pouring. And there's some paintings that I poured and I'm like, this is not what I wanted. I can't. Now, somebody else might walk in and be like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. But to me, I can't put it out there if it's not something that I love. And so there's lots of times where I've completely started over. So it's, and that's fine. I've done that a couple of times. Or I'll pour something, and I'm always doing color matching. And so a client will be like, oh my goodness, I love it, but can you make the blue a little bit darker? And if it's painted, then I can do that. But if it's fluid acrylic, for me to make the blue in a fluid acrylic darker, I have to completely redo the whole thing. Thank God that doesn't really happen. Most people are like, they love the colors, and I check with my clients, about color combinations before I actually pour the canvas. But it is both envisioning it and then kind of just letting it flow as you're creating.
Would you narrate another video for us? I have one
Yes.
that's a little bit of a different one. This is you using some pretty heavy duty power tools. So let me
Oh,
see if I can
I
find
think I
that
know which one
one.
this is.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites actually. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see.
I think this is the round one.
Yes, and this
Yeah.
is a little bit of a different style for you, which I really,
And this is,
appreciate.
yeah, this is the newer style I've been getting into. I've been doing fluid acrylics for a long time, but now I'm kind of getting into this painted geode inspired style. And so I have a lot more control when it
Okay,
comes to this, which I
gotcha.
love. I love.
So let's see if I can make this happen. Let me just take a look here. Okay, I'm going to share this one and let's see how we do. Okay, so
Okay.
this is you.
That's me with my trusty jigsaw. And
Right.
so this piece was a really awesome commission from a realtor in Tallahassee, Christy Perkins. She loves ocean blues, teals, aquas. And so I'm so thankful for her because she told me I just want a round painting. She told me what color and what size she wanted it. But then I was like, well, do you think I can make something 3D and kind of just funky for you? Can I like, do some kind of cutout? And she was like, you know what, whatever you want to do, it's fine with me. And so that's usually when I'm able to kind of, make the craziest stuff, when my clients allow me to do that. And so I hand painted this piece of pine wood. It's 42 inches round. It's pretty big. And as you can see, there was a lot of embellishments, but it still kind of has a simplistic elegance to it. But I have to kind of have that pal in the corner with all the quartz crystals and acrylic gems in there and crushed glass. And so this style right here is what I've kind of been moving into. I am really in love with this, because I'm really able to kind of sketch it out first and really envision in my mind exactly what I want it to look like. And then all there is to do is execute. And so with this one, I think this one might be one of my favorite creations, just because it's just, I think is one of my first times actually doing a 3D piece. So, cutting the pine with the jigsaw, and then I actually took a piece of plywood and adhered it to the back of that pine wood, so I can kind of get like almost like a waterfall kind of edge going. And then I had to kind of figure out, how can I do this without this weighing 1,000 pounds? Because if I were to cover the whole inside with glass, you wouldn't even be able to lift it up. And so I used acrylic gems for most of it instead of actual real glass. And so the real glass is kind of surrounding it, and then you actually have quartz crystals kind of jutting out from the curve. But most of that sparkly embellishment part is actually acrylic, which weighs like nothing. So I really love clients who kind of challenge me and who allow me to kind of just go off and do whatever, because it takes me to the next level, and it really involves a lot of problem solving. And how am I going to make this work to where this is functional in their house and they can actually move it around and not need not need like a dolly to move this painting,
Forklift. Yeah.
Yes. So you want it to be beautiful and just all out and luxurious, but you also want it to be, okay to lift and nobody's getting injured. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about commissions. I mean, I think one of the things that, sometimes folks forget is that artists are business people, right? This is their profession. They create artwork and they put it out into the public realm. Some people are doing that as a hobby. Some people are doing that as their full-time job. You have chosen this as a career path for yourself, and you have built a brand and a style that is really recognizable. You have a big personality that helps a lot because you are a smart and savvy marketer of yourself and your own work. And I think sometimes for artists that can be a little bit difficult because, it's a little bit of, well, I want to spend all my time creating my artwork, but if I want to make it my career, I also need to spend time sort of handling the business aspect of that and the customer relations aspects of that. And that's sort of where I think commissions can sometimes be really tricky for a lot of artists because, you know, a customer has come to you specifically because they enjoy your work and they enjoy your style. They're asking you to create something specific to them. How much of what you do is their vision and how much of what you do is retaining your own style and your own vision? Talk a little bit about the balance there.
Yeah, well, I have to say that when it comes to the aspect of my business, I absolutely love commissions. So I'd say about probably like 95% of the artwork that I create are commission pieces. And I kind of built my business on that because I do believe that the final artwork is always a collaboration between the client and me. And so, I really want to take into consideration, exactly what colors they want, the feeling that they're going for. A lot of clients kind of tell me like what they want it to remind them of. We go to Destin, so we like the white sands and we like the color. So, I am definitely going to look at pictures of Destin. I'm going to, have that next to me while I'm creating. So I really want it to be like a true collaboration. So I'm pretty much just visualizing, what they're thinking. I'm trying to, get it into the physical realm. They have it in their mind. And so, I love, speaking with my clients. I love for them to send me pictures of, all kinds of things that they like. And so, but, it can get tricky. I have been very blessed because my clients have been amazing. They kind of know that I am an abstract style. And so, if I have somebody who's like, oh, can you paint a picture of a person? I'm like, I don't really do people. No, I have done people, but that's not really my go-to. So I'm like, I could do a person, but it's not going to look like that. It's not going to look like the picture you're giving me. So let's stick to the abstract. So my clients, they know my style. And so if they're coming to me, they're wanting something that's my style. And so, I'd say 99% of the time, once they see that painting, they're like, oh my gosh, this is above and beyond what I even thought it was going to be. And that's so rewarding. That is like the best thing to hear ever. But it really is hard to consistently be in a creative mindset and then also have to deal with the business side. Like you said, it really is a balance. And, I feel like there are so many talented artists out there. I talk to artists all the time. They message me, how did you grow your page? How do you get your clients? And, I have a pre-written like 2-page letter written up because I get asked this question so much. And so I send it on to people who ask me, how was I able to grow my business? But it really is difficult because, you're dealing with right and left brain. But to really be good at the art as a career, you have to be able to be good at the business part. So you can't paint all day and then you don't take, great pictures of your work. You don't get on social media, you don't post consistently. You're not really involved in the community. You don't go to any events. Like there's a whole other realm of things that you have to do to elevate your business. And so, and I'm sure there's artists out there who have been discovered and they're doing very well and all they do is paint. But at some point you do have to be business minded. And so my best friend, Olivia, she's also the graphic designer for Tallahassee Woman Magazine. And she's also my website designer. And, she always told me, she's like, Quia, you're doing well, but she was like, you don't really put yourself out there enough. And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, you have to start showing your face. You have to take pictures with your art. She said, because if people are going to buy from you, they're not just buying paint on a canvas. They really are buying because it's from you. And so you really have to, interact with your clients and you have to, have them know you on a, personal basis consistently. And that was hard for me because I'm the kind of person, I just want to be in the garage all day painting. I tell my husband sometimes, I'm like, it's such a headache to have to like think about what I'm going to post today, or, oh, now I got to stop and like take pictures of this. And I can't just take one picture. I take like 50,000 pictures and they have to be perfect. So it's time consuming and it does take away from the artistic bit of it, but you have to have both. There is no way I could have grown and met the people I've met and really grown the brand if I wasn't doing both sides of it. So it's definitely work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop.
Let's talk about so the exhibition aspect is sort of another side of this, right? So, I mean, you are creating art because you are compelled to do so. You are a creative person. You are, using your art to feed your soul, and you're using it as a method of feeding your family. And then in addition to that, we have a variety of opportunities to exhibit work, right? So specifically kind of tying it back to your solo show that we are hosting with you at the Artport Gallery. The process of preparing for an exhibition is pretty substantial. And I think that especially for a solo show, where it's all you, it's all your work. That can be really challenging. So Dan actually asked a question earlier that kind of, I'd like to segue back to the exhibitions conversation about, he said that he finds naming a show particularly difficult. So he's wondering how the name Influx was arrived upon. This is the title of your solo show that's currently on view at the Artport Gallery. So do you want to answer that question and talk a little bit about the preparation that the show required?
I really have to say that I can thank Amanda really when it came to the Influx name, because, first of all, Amanda was just amazing throughout this whole process of getting ready for the show. She helped me through it, mentally, and just, everything's going to be okay. It's fine. She was, I mean, you were incredible. And so, I had no idea what I wanted the show to be named. I feel like I was way too focused on, I have to get these paintings out. I have to create, I have to be in the headspace to create. And so I was kind of freaking out a little bit about, making sure I had enough pieces. And so I feel like Amanda kind of, picked up the pieces there and was like, okay, let's look at your style. Let's look at, your upbringing, and let's tie it all together with the name of the show. And Influx was kind of organic, and that's kind of what came up, because really my pieces are in flux. I feel like personally, I feel like I'm all over the place when it comes to my creations. And maybe that's just me, but I do have people say, oh, I recognize one of your pieces hanging here. I recognize one of your pieces hanging here. And that's probably one of the greatest compliments for somebody to be able to, actually see my work and know it's mine. But I still feel like I am everywhere when it comes to creating, because neurons are always firing to do something new. And so when Amanda came up with Influx, I was like, oh, girl, yes, you hit the nail on the head.
Well, and I think that's one of the things too, with the preparation of an exhibition, when you're working with a curator, theoretically, that curator really is there to serve not only as a guide for the artist, but to help design the show, the concept, the individual artwork selections, the look of it, the way the art is arranged and hung in the gallery are all things that, from a curatorial perspective, they make a big difference in the message that we're trying to convey. We're not just hanging artwork on a wall. We're trying to say something with this collection of artworks. And, that is a very collaborative type of process where the artist and the curator work together to develop that vision and to develop the actual language that then becomes part of the exhibition description and the promotion and all those kinds of things gone into the creation of a show. So it's a heavy lift, and you know, it
Yes.
feels very celebratory once the show is actually installed. It's
Oh
a
my gosh.
great celebration.
Yes. I mean, even just delivering 30 pieces to the airport, it took two SUVs, I had to wrap my paintings in towels because, they're covered with glass and resin. And so if it falls the wrong way, then you have to scratch in the resin. And for me to get that out, I have to buff it in resin again. Like it is a whole entire thing working with the resin and the glossy finish. So it was just, I felt like I dropped my kids off for the summer when I dropped those. I told my husband, I'm like, I felt like I just dropped my kids off for the summer with my mom. And I'm like, ooh, oh, I can breathe now. Like everything's done. And now it's just hanging there. And it's just, it was a really good feeling. It's a phenomenal feeling.
I'm glad. And
So,
we've had such great responses to it as well. People are so enjoying your work. And we do have a couple of extra questions too.
oh yeah.
Yvette has asked, what made you decide to incorporate the embellishments that you started, you know, popping into your work? And secondarily to that, are there any art portals to house digital artworks that you might recommend for folks to check out, either as an artist or as an arts patron?
Okay, so I had been following an artist when I first started with the fluid acrylic. I followed a German artist, her name's Stephanie Wahlbeer, and she was made famous because she does these really organic geode, resin artworks. And I mean, they are absolutely phenomenal. And so she alone was, a catalyst for me to start putting mixed media embellishments into my art. But of course, I'm like, okay, I love what she does, but I don't want to copy what she does. I just want to learn how to, incorporate this resin into my artwork to where it kind of fits and feels right. And so I just started experimenting on, small levels with coasters and small canvases, and then kind of adding in. I'm like, sometimes I throw the kitchen sink into a painting. Okay, I'm like, how many things can I put onto this canvas? But I started off with small things, and little bits of glass here, little bits of glass there, and then it's kind of just been like a journey of kind of getting my signature look. And so, really just following people on YouTube, following them on Instagram. And, I follow a lot of resin artists, and, it's very inspirational. It's like just going through my timeline. It's like I get color inspiration, I get inspiration for shapes. I might see a new embellishment that I've never seen before, or a new way to use resin, or a new way to use pigment or color in your resin. So, I love how, us as artists kind of feed each other when it comes to that inspiration. When it comes to art portals, I mean, there are a lot of websites out there that you can put your art on. That you can, Google just online art gallery, and a lot of them are free. Some of them are paid. For myself, I found that just my website is the best for me. Just because, if you're an artist, you really want somebody to go to where only your art is. Okay, if you're trying to sell your art, then you want to have like a gallery on your website, and then they can easily click over to what's for sale, or click over to your home decor, or they can read about you, or you offer classes. Everything is kind of on my website. So really, and nowadays it's so easy to just have like even a one-page website to where you have a gallery, and then maybe links to something else. And so I would say, if you're able to get a website or get a free website, then that would be the best way to showcase your art. And really, when you're trying to put yourself out there as an artist, people want to know that you have a website. They really don't want to have to go to somebody else's page to see your creations. And some people are not on social media. I mean, there's so many clients that I've had throughout the years who are like, I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. And I'm like, well, how did you find me? And they're like, oh, word of mouth, or I saw that you were at an event, or I met you at an event, or saw you in the paper, or I just Googled your business online, and it came up that way. So yeah, I would definitely go the website route if you're able to do that.
That sounds great. And folks, I'm gonna pop Kia's info into the chat. This is all of her socials. This is her website. This is her email address, if that's okay with you, and phone number.
That's
These
fine.
are all of the various different methods that you can contact her. All of her contact information that I'm providing too is also available in the exhibition information related to Influx, the show that's at the airport right now, and in our online gallery. And I'm going to add that information and link in here as well. So there's all of those goodies in the chat for everyone to mine. And then I have another question from Dan. Dan really wants to pick your brain. He is wondering, what is the best advice you've gotten for your artistic journey over the past like 5 or 10 years? What is something that someone has said that's really sort of stuck with you?
Oh my gosh, thanks, Dan. That is a really good question. Oh my gosh, there's been so many great pieces of advice. But I have to say that I had a friend tell me not to create for other people, not to create what's popular at the time, or what people are buying in home goods, or buying at Hobby Lobby for art, but to create like what pretty much what is in you, like what has God given you as a talent, and what do you have a passion to put out. That's what you should put out on canvas, not trying to make your art look like somebody else's, or even comparing yourself to other artists, or how far they've come, or what they're doing, but to just do what is your God-given talent to do. And so that I believe is what I have been doing. And it's great advice, because you're really you're being true to yourself. And if you really follow that advice, then you cannot be compared to anybody else, and so that's really important for any artist to have their own style. And yeah, so I would say that just you know put out what's in you. And I feel like you can't go wrong if you do that.
So we have a few minutes here towards the tail end of our artist talk, where we can gather any final questions or thoughts from attendees. I'm paying attention to the chat and the Q&A box as well. I'm wondering, Quia, while we sort of put our final thinking caps on here for everyone, if you could maybe share some of your final thoughts about maybe the importance of the arts right now. We are at a moment in our human history where I think the arts perhaps are more important than ever. I think not only in terms of us consuming the arts, but also in regard to us creating new and beautiful things. Can you talk a little bit about that, this kind of tumultuous landscape that we're in, and how the arts maybe serve to soothe or create a moment of joy and brightness for you personally?
Yeah, I've always thought that art is nostalgic. And and I deal with a lot of clients who are, they want a gift for their wife, or a gift for their husband, or something for their home, but it's like they're also trying to get a certain feeling, and that's kind of across the board with people who commission a piece or buy a piece. It's like either they look at the art and makes them feel a certain way, or it reminds them of, a time where they were happy or happier, or it also reminds them of where they want to be. I have a friend who bought a piece of art, and she said, your art, when I look at it, it reminds me of where I'm going and where I should be. And I think that is like, it's so spiritually important. And and it's, I create abstract things. There's so many artists out there who are, and I love artists who are able to paint concrete things, like faces and, scenes and, historical elements. I really have always admired artists like that. And so with my abstract style, I really just try to capture what the client wants to feel and what they want to remember, and kind of bring out that happiness. And so if I'm creating a piece and it's going in your house, I want you to be able to look at it and have your spirits uplifted. So that is, like my main goal. I want it to be, just a highlight of your day. I want it to be a reminder of good times. I want it to be a reminder of, what your goals are, where you're going. And so, I think, art is, even if you're not an artist, when I give my classes, so many people come to the class and they're just, either they're stressed out, or either they're stressed out about maybe doing the art wrong. People are stressed out about so many things. But by the time they're done creating this painting or creating this decor, it is like a weight is lifted. You can physically see the difference between the person when they came in and the person when they leave. And there's just something about creating something. There's something about, visualizing and putting something onto canvas or onto anything and using your hands to materialize something out of nothing. It kind of speaks to the soul. It soothes. It's, therapeutic. And really everyone should kind of just pick up a paintbrush just to do anything. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but it does do something when you create. And everybody is, I believe everybody are creatives in their own right. Some people write poetry, some people know just the right words to say to people to uplift them. And I think that is an art form in itself. Some people are very good at that. So it's it really is important to kind of just, create what is in you. And, everybody has that talent. Everybody has that thing that they can kind of bestow on somebody else that will bless them. And so that's an art form in itself. And, I would challenge everybody to find what that is within them and to do that. And, it might be tangible, it might not be tangible, but it's still just as important for sure.
Thank you so much for that, Quia. I think your words have been really inspiring to people. I'm seeing a lot of comments about appreciation for you being so open and sharing your heart with us today. That has been such a pleasure to get to know you better. I know that all of our attendees are feeling the same way. And so we are grateful at COCA to you for your contributions to our cultural community. We are delighted to be presenting your solo exhibition, Influx, at the Artport Gallery. Again, it's on view through November 8th of 2021. And it's also available for browsing in our online gallery. All of the pieces that are in that show, with a couple of exceptions that have been snapped up, are for sale. And so if you are interested in bringing something home, please don't hesitate to reach out to Quia and inquire about that. We are right at the tail end of our artist talk, so I'm going to give everyone one last call for questions or comments that we can share right here with Quia. CW says, thank you. Dan says, great advice. We've got lots of friends and lots of fans of your work. And so we are appreciative, and we can't wait to see what you cook up next. That's the other thing that's like really exciting is that you continue to evolve and you continue to grow as an artist and as a creator and as a woman. I mean, we are not stagnant in terms of, the kinds of things that we are, thinking about, our opinions, our values. The landscape continues to change. And so your artwork undoubtedly will continue to change in response to that. So can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you so much for having me and for everybody being here. I feel extremely blessed today just to be here and be able to talk to all of you about my passion. And thank you again for everything.
Thank you. All right, everybody. We are signing off, and we are so delighted that you were able to join us. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and continue supporting local artists and local art. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye,
Bye, you
everybody.
guys. Bye.